This presentation with regards to electronic stalking comes from a presentation that was given by a woman named Rebecca Dreeke, who's the Deputy Director of the Stalking Resource Center with the National Center for Victims of Crime. The office is in Washington, D.C., so it's a national organization, but she's headquartered in Austin. Her presentation was 1 hour and 15 minutes long, and so I'm going to try to blow through this as efficiently as I can. Some of this information I'm not as well versed in, but I was, like Jackie said, I was so passionate about making sure that other people had this information, because I went to this breakout session at a conference, and my head literally exploded with the crap that she was telling me. I'm like, this is not real. I watch NCIS and I watch Law and Order all the time, and my husband's always behind me going, that crap is not real, honey. They don't have that technology now. And so, like, I'm going through this presentation, and they're talking about all this stuff, and I go, holy crap, that stuff is real. So I want more and more people to be aware of it. And when I told Rebecca why I was there and how important that stuff was, she said, you take this information, you get it to as many people as you possibly can. You can give us credit or not, I don't care. You get this out there. And I was like, okay, yeah, I like you a lot. So if I go fast, I apologize, but I want to give you as much information as I have. Ask me a question at whatever point it comes up, because I definitely want to elaborate or clarify something if that's not coming through. Also, if we go past 7:30, obviously I'm not going to be offended if you have to go, but like I said, I'll try to get through as much as I can. So we had the definition of stalking previously, Texas Penal Code. Stalking behaviors, the issue with regards to stalking behaviors, kind of like Sergeant Barbie talked about, is that there's a lot of behaviors that aren't necessarily considered even abusive, much less dangerous in and of themselves. But what we're looking at and what we're looking for with regards to stalking, is there a pattern of behavior? Because once you start establishing that there's a pattern of behavior, then it becomes a problem. Then it becomes dangerous. Stalking behaviors include things like using the kids against you. If you have kids with the person who is stalking you, then that becomes a way that person can get to you. Legal system harassment, filing lawsuits against you, filing a protective order against you when you're actually the victim. Protection order violations, again, as Sergeant Barbie said, and I hope a lot of what I'm doing is going to reinforce what he was talking about. The protective order is just a piece of paper. And you guys know I'm not going to advocate violence, but like, I'm huge on Facebook. I love being on Facebook. And there's these little things that says teach your daughter to shoot because a protective order is just a piece of paper. And I'm like, yeah. And they go, no, I need to, like, non-violence, non-violence. So, but there's a reality to that. We have to understand how to protect ourselves because of that. So there's a lot of things that are involved here. Statistics, I don't want to bore you with that, but 6.6 million people stalked in 1 year in the U.S. should be a horrifying thing for us to look at in faith. Now, doing the math within our own population, let's make this real for us. Take your community population, which for Amarillo I think is like 240,000. Is that sounding, no? About 200,000. So you divide that by 1,000, so you got 200. Multiply that by 26.5, help me out somebody, 200,000, right? So that's 200 times 26.5, so we're talking about 5,300 or 53,000? 5,300? 5,300? Okay, correct me at any, okay. So we're talking about 5,300 stalking situations within our city alone. Does that horrify anybody? Does that piss anybody off? This is not okay. So that's the number we're looking at, based on national statistics and stuff. That's what we're looking at. Victim-offender relationship, again, women tend to be, they are the higher percentage of people who are stalked, but this shows men and women. And the intimate partner relationships are the highest percentage of who gets stalked. So we're talking about people who know you, again, as Sergeant Barbie said. Stalking dynamics, 18 to 24-year-olds typically are the most stalked, but it could be anybody. Women are more likely to be stalked. Most offenders are male. The majority of victims know their offender. Even if it's not an intimate partner relationship, we still know that the majority of victims know their offender. I don't really know what that is, so I'm just going to jump ahead. Intimate partner stalking risk, the more separations. I don't know if you guys are familiar with domestic violence statistics, but what we know about domestic violence is that it takes a woman typically 7 times leaving and returning to her abuser before she leaves for good. That's actually higher for stalking victims. And probably because of the persistence of the stalker. And I actually had a guy who was the female within his relationship, and he was continually stalked, and he told me right up front, he said, it's just easier to be with him than to have to fight. Obviously he was gay. It's easier to be with him than to have to fight him constantly, following me, finding me, stalking me. It's easier for me just to be with him. And that's a sad and frightening situation. The more dangerous times when protective orders are served. If someone is stalking a victim, they're actively, and there's a misperception about what they're seeing. So they're actively doing things that are very dangerous, so they're not going to carry out protective orders. The separation is going to elevate their frustrations, as opposed to, oh, okay, she just doesn't want me anymore. Doesn't everybody do it? Anybody remember this song? Every Breath You Take. Do you guys know this song is about stalking? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you guys would. Yeah, some people don't. Some people don't. And one of the things I thought was interesting is that Sting, I love the laser pointer, I'm going to use it a lot. So Sting says he was really blown away when people started using this as a wedding song when it came out, because it was a hugely popular song, because it's a song about stalking. We should be using it as a wedding song, because there's a lot of this stuff. I mean, look at the words. Can't you see you belong to me? Every move you make, every vow you break, every smile you fake, I'll be watching you. I mean, that's about stalking, and there's a lot of other songs about stalking too. I don't know if you guys go back to the 70s. One way or another, I'm going to find you, I'm going to get you, from Blondie. And then there's these new people that I haven't even heard of because I'm so out of touch, but like Lady Gaga, I know who that is, the meat-dressed lady. So, but all of this stuff. And this one's so blatant, stalking you on MySpace. That's pretty clear what that's about. Movies. I thought there's something about Mary was hysterical, but it was about stalking, which is very, very sad. Some of these I've seen, I don't even remember if they were about stalking. So the perception about stalking is that it's about love. The stalker's perception is, I love you so much, I can't live without you. Their persistence pays off. I mean, if you think about it, the stalker's victim goes back to him 9 times, 10 times, 11 times. She leaves him, she's crazy, she's out of her mind, she doesn't know what she's doing, so he pursues her and then she comes back to him. So his persistence is paying off. He's just a really nice person that's misunderstood. That's his perspective. You guys seen this card? Stalker is a harsh word. I prefer Valentine. Did anybody find that offensive? How about, some call it stalking, I call it love. Anybody seen that shirt? I believe it's been taken out of Target stores now. But when it was first put in there, and then there was a big uproar. And when you look at things that cross the line when it comes to humor, you can see where people would laugh at this. But not a woman or man who's ever been stalked is going to find this funny. It's horrifying and it's terrifying. I gave up Facebook stalking my boyfriend's ex for Lent. Funny, but highly offensive. Terrifying. Really.
What's great about the iPhone is that if you want to know where your ex-girlfriend is at any moment, there's an app for that. Or if you want to check her personal calendar so you can accidentally run into her and give her a chance to take you back, there's an app for that. And if you want to set up automatic late-night calls so she knows you're always thinking about her, well, there's an app for that. And if you need an attorney with a proven record of fighting restraining orders, there's an app for that. But if the judge can't appreciate your love for her, and you're required by state law to move on, there's an app for that. And if you need to buy a car with enough horsepower to drive off a cliff, so that she comes to your funeral and gives a eulogy about what a great guy you were, and then breaks down and cries as she realizes that no other man will ever make her as happy as you did, and that now she's destined to die a lonely old cat lady because she was too stupid to see what she had when it was right in front of her. Yeah, there's an app for that too. That's the iPhone, solving life's dilemmas, one app at a time.
This particular ad is sarcastic, it's not real, but understand that those apps do exist. And there's a reason they exist. and generally they're marketed in a very positive way, and there's reasons why we would utilize that. But it's used by people who are invested in stalking and tracking people down as a way to do that, and it's very, very effective. Cell phones, calling, texting, photos, cell phones can be used in that capacity, tracking cell phones. Sprint has an app where you can track a cell phone. AT&T, wait, this is Verizon, I think AT&T has a phone. AT&T Family Map, all of these. Now you guys are aware that smartphones, virtually all smartphones now, come equipped with a GPS system, and it's on when you buy the phone. So unless you purposely turn that off, which most people don't, they don't think to, that's on there. So then you have other apps, not just something that's in your system, because Sprint, and the phone carriers have those, but there's also apps. Locating anyone, follow me, GPS tracker, all of these things are being able to be utilized. Now, Rebecca Dreeke, this is a screenshot of her phone. What she does, we're gonna ask you a question?
Yes,
Okay.
I was just gonna recommend something that I had. There's the automatic 911 apps also, where you just hit the button and it calls 911.
Oh, that's a great.
And there was
feature.
also a texting 911.
Great.
And I had all of them. That's how terrified I was all
Yeah.
the time. But
That's awesome.
but
I didn't know
just,
about that. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Is anybody else aware of that?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they were very helpful to me.
Awesome, awesome. That's great to hear. So this is a screenshot of Rebecca's phone, and what she does, see this little icon here, stalking apps. She has a little folder with all of her stalking apps. Because of what she does, she finds these stalking apps, she puts them on her phone, and she learns how to use them and how they work. She also learned very quickly that they're extremely difficult to take off your phone, regardless of what kind of powerful app removal you're trying to use. So once they're on your phone, they're very difficult to take off.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's purposeful, I'm sure. Finding friends, kids, and this is how they're marketed. I mean, find your friends, check where your kids are, that kind of stuff. Checking in within the electronic systems. When you check in on your Facebook, you're checking in, people know where you're at. I mean, that's no surprise. Let's see, downloading apps. These are for GPS, I want to say. This one I'm not real well versed in. Everybody familiar with this term, geotagging, geographic tagging. So what that is the camera on your phone plus the GPS on your phone enables you to be geotagged with regards to where you're at based on your pictures. So it'll show up where you're at, which is great fun, right? Where have I been in the United States my entire life? So you can do all of that stuff where, since you've had your phone and you geotag and you take pictures and say, I was here. So you have this great, oh, look at all the places I've been in the last 5 years. Except that when people can utilize that and take advantage of you. XF data. Oh my gosh, I forgot to pass out the stuff. Would you pass out my handout? Yes. Sorry. And the reason I am reminded, because I want you to understand what XF is, and that has to do with the data that is attached to your photograph when you take that photograph. XF data is automatically programmed into your phone so that when you take a picture, that data is there. In most cases, it's fairly harmless, especially if you don't have a stalker. It just kind of records where you're at, which enables the geotagging to occur. Oh, look at all the places I've been.
Can you turn that off?
Yes. Yes. And what I want to point out is that this stuff is fairly benign. What's the camera? What's the exposure? What's the flash? Here's the problem, the location. You have a latitude and longitude locator. So, you're a woman who has been stalked. You've now gone into a new apartment. It's a gated community. You have a new puppy. You're so happy to feel free. You don't think that this person's going to be able to find you very quickly, if at all. You take a picture of your new puppy, and the only background is that carpet in your new apartment. That doesn't matter, because the latitude and longitude information has just tagged that puppy's picture with your exact location. Now, if a stalker gets a hold of that photograph, that person can look at the XF data. All they need to do is go on Google, enter latitude, longitude, then they get a map locator. They know exactly where that person is now living. Even though you thought a picture of your puppy with nothing behind it except the carpet was a benign picture, because you want to show off to your friends that you have a new puppy. EXIF data can be enabled, and here's, or it can be disabled, and here's how. You get onto the computer system and search how to disable geotagging on a whatever phone, on your phone. According to Rebecca, this is how you'll get information about how to disable that. So you've got on the handouts, you've got a little square that will show you this. The other thing that I think you're passing out the 2 extra. There's 2. The 2. No, that's just an extra one. Yeah. Okay, so this page right here explains what EXIF data is. Okay, and it's fairly technical. It comes off Wikipedia. I don't know how helpful it is, except on that 3rd paragraph, it can pose a privacy issue. For example, a photo taken with a GPS-enabled camera can reveal the exact location and time it was taken. So if you don't have privacy protections on your Facebook, if the stalker knows friends and can access your photo through friends or through your Facebook or other ways, that person can find out where you are, and it becomes a privacy issue, becomes a safety issue for you. So disabling the EXIF data is a great idea. Okay. Cell phone spyware. Cell phone spyware. There are companies that do this. Mobile Stealth, Spy Bubble, Spy on Mobile Phones, Flex Spy. All of these companies do this.
So, you want to keep an eye on your loved one or your employee because you suspect they're hiding something and it might get too late? How do you know where they are or what they're doing right now? Maybe they're not really telling you the truth about their activities or whereabouts. You are worried, so you wonder if the only way to find out is to know what they do on their cell phones right away. You know that's the only way to give you all the answers. What you need right now is a solution that lets you uncover the truth by secretly monitoring all the activities of your loved one or employee and lets you know their location at all times. Don't worry, there's a powerful solution and it's called Stealth Genie. The most powerful cell phone spy software available on any iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry phone, especially designed for you, but also used by over 100,000 satisfied customers. So how does Stealth Genie mobile spy software work? Well, it's simple. You install Stealth Genie spy software on the phone you want to monitor once, and you will not need to access the phone again. As soon as you install Stealth Genie, it will instantly start to upload all the information from the phone you're monitoring. You can view all this information straight away by logging into your online Stealth Genie member panel. You will remotely control the phone. You'll be able to record and listen to their calls, view their call history, SMS log, emails, contact book, appointments, internet browsing history, photos, videos, and instant messenger chats. Read iMessage conversations. Read WhatsApp conversations. Instantly find out where they are by tracking their GPS location. Even better, you'll receive alerts when they leave a certain area or enter a prohibited location. Receive instant alerts when a suspicious caller is calling or texting the phone. Stealth Genie is so powerful that you can even listen to the phone's surroundings from your member panel. And that's not all. There's many, many more features that Stealth Genie includes. The best part is they'll never know that Stealth Genie is running on their phone because it's totally invisible. It's like having your own personal genie living in the phone. Now you're wondering, all these features, gosh, how easy would it be to install? Simple. You buy online, simply install the application on their phone by following the easy instructions sent to you by email, log into your online Stealth Genie member area, and start monitoring remotely straight away. Installation is so easy that even your granddad will be able to spy on any phone instantly. This is why we've been featured by several popular media outlets. Be one of the over 100,000 existing customers using Stealth Genie all over the world right now. We're so confident that you will love Stealth Genie that we're offering 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Otherwise, we will get double your money back. Stealth Genie, the most powerful cell phone spy software, letting you monitor any phone remotely, silently, and easily.
Okay. This is not a compilation, this is not sarcasm, this is an actual ad. So with Stealth Genie, a stalker, if they have one-time access to a person's phone, they can install that program. There's no icon, so it's completely invisible. And then they know where you're at, they can see your emails, they can see your text messages, they can hear your phone calls, all of that. So when you have a victim, or if you are a victim who starts to go, how does he know where I'm at? How does he know that I took a pregnancy test last week? Because I didn't tell anybody except my mom through an email today. All of those things where he could not have possibly known because you were so careful and so private. And then it starts to click that all that stuff you did, it's on your phone, or you had a phone conversation. Those things are telling you that there's something like this on there. And because there's no icon, you don't know it's on there. Detecting cell phone spyware, there are some symptoms that you can look for. Battery overuse. My phone, I only need to charge it like every 3 or 4 days because I don't use it that much. My husband uses his phone constantly, so like every 12 hours he's got to be charging his phone. But if all of a sudden my phone, which you only have to charge once every 4 days, I'm having to charge every day, that's a clue because it's using up power or high data usage. Offender knows things they can only know if they had access to your phone. The offender has had physical contact with your phone. If that was a gift, what if the stalker's like, okay, you know what, I know I've been a jerk, I know I've done all these terrible things, I want to make peace, I know I broke the last 3 phones that you had, here's a new iPhone, I got a great deal on it, I'm really sorry, here, take this. Oh my God. You could take it, and actually one of the very guaranteed ways, or one of the ways that we really believe that you can take the spyware off is to restore to factory settings. Things like spyware deletion programs are not very effective. So restoring to factory settings, if it's brand new, you can restore to factory settings, and that should wipe it out. But what if it doesn't? You know, so you have this fear. If it's a gift, don't take it. And back to what Sergeant Barbie said, that just encourages them to continue. Don't accept the gift. The word no. No, 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 no. Clicks or sounds when you're on calls. That's also a symptom that might help. Anybody heard this term? Call spoofing.
Mm-hmm.
Call spoofing. This one's
How can you remain anonymous when you call someone? The best way is using spoof card. With spoof card, you can change your caller ID to anything you want so that the person you call will never see your real phone number. How? Simple. Go to spoofcard.com, buy as many minutes as you want, and get your access phone number and unique PIN number. To disguise your phone number, follow these 4 simple steps. 1. Call the access number. 2. Enter your PIN number. 3. Enter the number you want to call. And 4. Enter the number that you want to appear as the caller ID, then place your call and spoof it. But there's more. You can even change your voice to sound like a man or a woman, so not even your mom will recognize who's calling. It's so much fun. Plus, you have an awesome feature that allows you to record your conversations for future reference. Also, you can use your PIN with any of our iPhone, Android, or BlackBerry apps for even easier spoofing. Start spoofing today at spoofcard.com. Disguise your phone number.
So the marketing gimmick, so much fun, so much fun. So that app is telling you that they don't have to have access to your phone. They can create an account and now call you very simply, disguising their number at all times. They can also disguise their voice. So you keep getting calls from your mother's phone number. You answer your mom's call. You're not answering his calls, but you're answering your mom's call, and it's him. And how the hell is this happening? Because that's what's happening. And there are multiple spoof companies that do this. And when it comes to trying to track down that information, I don't know if it's law enforcement or investigators with like a DA's office or something, it's not just looking at the phone records of the victim because it's 17 calls from mom that day. And yet the victim is saying it's from the ex-boyfriend, it's her stalker. What they need is they need both phone records to be able to make a comparison. He's calling spoofcard.com and at every moment, you know, there's a corresponding call from mom on the victim's phone. Those types of comparisons will help to build a case with regards to those types of behaviors, but they're not going to know that unless they've got both phone records.
I was going to recommend another helpful one, Trap Call, and that will, if you're getting anonymous calls, it will call you back with the number they call from. It costs like $4.95 a month. It's called Trap Call.
Yeah, if you're being stalked, $4.95 is probably worth it.
Yeah,
to know that
I mean,
information.
and it really does work.
Yeah.
If you get
I
private
was
or
not aware of that. That's
yeah.
good information. Trap call.
Trap Call.
Trap call. Write that down. So this is a major problem, and disguising people's voices too, and they can call you pretending to be someone else to try to get information. So text message spoofing, same thing. These .com companies allows you to text people. I talked to a victim just the other day, and that person was talking about receiving text messages from anonymous places or places that were not the stalker, but it was the stalker every time that the email was opened up. It was clearly from the stalker. I can't live without you. You know, if I can have you, no one will. That kind of really terrifying stuff. So there's companies that do that. Disappearing text and disappearing emails. Anybody heard of this? You open up a text message, you go to close it. Once you've looked at it once, it disappears. So now you can say that he's texted you 27 times in one day, but there is no proof. And there is no way to show that. So one of the things, again, that has to start happening is that you take screenshots on your phone, which I don't even know how to do that, but if you're being stalked, you need to learn how to do that. Some of these will not even show up on a screenshot. So before you close it that first time, get another electronic device to take a picture of it on your phone. Because that may be the only way that you can prove that that's happening to you. So disappearing text messages and disappearing emails, very problematic. And when it comes to investigating that, requesting records of the stalker, being able to prove that they purchased programs from those companies, stuff like that. Cell phone documentation. This has to do with researching audio on the phone, text. I don't exactly know what that is. I'm just going to go right past that. Spoofing documentation, and this is what I'm talking about, matching the call logs. Matching the offender's call log with the victim's call log. Looking at the times and how they're matching up exactly. And if those phone calls made to a spoofing company, that spoofing company's phone number is going to be listed on the offender's phone bill. So that you can research and say, this phone number is a spoofing company, and it happens every single time she gets a phone call from her mother or her cousin or her sister. Suspects' financial records, those are also helpful to see if they've purchased those kinds of programs. Cell phone victim safety, our victim advocates will talk about how you're using your cell phone, spyware, if the offender has ever had access to your phone, and this is where we talk about consider completely wiping the phone and restoring to factory settings, because that's the only way to really at this point guarantee that that stuff will be wiped off. The thing that you cannot do though, if you've had that phone for a while, you got all these great pictures of you and your kids and your mom, and she passed away 2 months ago, so you can't lose those pictures. You load them onto your computer, you restore to factory settings, and you reload that stuff back on your phone. You now have that spyware back on your phone.
There's also an app for that too.
Is there?
To back it up.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's good. GPS systems, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we follow through with GPS systems. There's a lot of ways to do that. There's a lot of companies that do that. Hang on, where am I going? Like tracking key here. Step 1, place the GPS on or with your child, spouse, or employee. So if a stalking victim has children with the offender, the kids come back with a new electronic watch, a new iPad or tablet, a new collar for, best friend Fido. All of that stuff can be what am I trying to say? Infected.
GPS.
Yeah, with GPS. So then you call your GPS and receive a text message to the location. And you don't want to take away the gifts that your kid gets from the dad, because you don't want to infect your poor kid with, with hating the father. You're trying to be a good parent, and yet any gift that comes to the child from the parent is suspect.
Let's be honest. There comes a time in everyone's life when they need to protect loved ones. And sometimes this means verifying their whereabouts without their explicit permission.
Well,
I've never had to do that. Frankly, I know friends who are worried about older family members.
Or new teen drivers. You want to verify where they've been and how fast they were going.
It can be a difficult decision.
But if you've made the decision to put a track stick into a car in a discreet manner, this section will give you an idea of how to use track stick to do that. There are only a couple of important things to remember. First, track stick can't be surrounded by metal. It needs to have access to the satellite signal. This means the vehicle's trunk can't be used. People have put them in the glove box, in a tissue container, in a backpack, even tucked them up under the dashboard. Super track stick includes a magnetized mount and can be placed on the car, but this takes some practice to be sure the signal is working.
Once the car returns home, plug the track stick into your computer and it gives you an exact record of where the family member you're concerned about has been. It can be a tough decision, but what you discover may save a life or simply let you rest more comfortably about a loved one's whereabouts.
So doesn't this make a lot of sense? I mean, you got a teenage driver, you want to know where they're going. You have a child who's struggled with drug problems, you want to make sure they're not going to the drug dealer's house anymore. You have a parent with Alzheimer's disorder. There are reasons to do this, and that's how they market it. But I'd love to see the percentage of people who are actually using it as it's marketed versus people who are using it to stalk a person. These are some stalking cases. I find them interesting. That might be something that you guys are interested in at the police department. These apparently were successfully prosecuted, which is still very, very difficult. Where those things are positioned on your car, you know, that track stick, they have to have physical access to your car, so they can either break into your car. If they've been your partner for a long time, maybe they have the second set of keys that you lost a year ago and you have no idea where it's at. Or maybe they just know how to break into your car, or maybe they're a mechanic. Or they just take off the cover of the rear light and they stick it in there because nobody will ever know, and that's on the outside of the car, so they don't have to break into the car. There's all kinds of things that can happen as to how that physically gets into the car, but in order to get the information, they have to physically get back to your car and pull that stuff out. So that's more useful to someone who's still living with you, but it's certainly within the realm of imagination that that's happening to someone, especially if you're like, I don't know how this person is following me, showing up to everywhere we are, so. Tracking the offender, these are just, again, ways that law enforcement can follow through. Computers and tablets, again, all that stuff can be infected with spyware, so that person can follow where you're at, real-time spy. I mean, they don't really try to hide it in the title. Malware and spyware for tablets. You can buy apps, you can download files because of that. Abusers know or guess the password. If your abuser knows you very well, they can probably guess your password. How many people here have the same password for everything because you can't remember if you have 12 different passwords? If your partner knows you, they can either guess your password or they already know your password. And when it comes to cell phones, if they know your carrier and they know your social security number, then they can access your phone records at any time that they want to. And that's a scary thought as well, even if you guys aren't together. I mean, how hard is that? You use your phone to pay your phone bill or to make some changes or to dispute a claim, and so you get, and they say, you're calling about this phone number, what's the last 4 digits of the social security number, blip, 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 and you're in. And it's that simple. Documentation and evidence, and again, this is really for people who are researching and trying to build a case, asking victims about their computer. Has a computer been performing strangely? Has the offender ever had access to that? Victim safety, educating victims about remote access and spyware, and that's what we're trying to do. This stuff is out there, and if you start going, okay, this crap is happening to me all the time. Oh my gosh. Keystroke logging hardware. Anybody heard this? Keystroke logging hardware. They put a little piece in between the wire connection and your computer. So how big is that? That's little bitty, that's this big, and they put it on your computer. How many of you guys look at the back of your computer on a regular basis? If he has the way to break into your house, stick that on your computer and then get out of your house without you ever knowing, or if you guys live together, keystroking logging hardware documents everything that you've done. So if a victim is attempting to get away, making plans, trying to be extremely safe, but they're looking at bus tickets, they're looking at plane tickets, they're looking at cities that they want to move to, they're gathering information, guess what? Every single thing is being recorded on that keystroking hardware, and all they have to do is grab that and download what was on there, and then they know what you've been looking at. Suspect needs to retrieve that device. That makes it a little more difficult. Looking for data on the suspect's computer. And this is one where victim advocates can start saying, if you're looking at ways to get away, you need to use your friend's computer where he has no access. Go to the library, utilize that computer, utilize something that's, or talk to Jackie or Vicky who are victim advocates and say, can we use a computer to start looking at some stuff, because that's what victim advocates do, they help. So, other items to look for. And one of the things too is not listing or documenting that on your computer, because if they've got computer spyware, they can get into any document that you have. So you don't want to document anything on your computer, even though that's the easiest way to do it, because if they've got access to your computer and you have no idea if they have access to your computer, then they can get to that information. All sorts of storage devices. You know that the bigger the storage is now, the way the technology is, the smaller the device can be. So any of that stuff can be downloaded into something so small you wouldn't even notice it was there. Cameras, I have a Mac computer, so I have a little camera right there. You know, and I trust my husband, I trust pretty much everybody, but it doesn't take much to get into somebody's computer, and then they can activate your camera. They can activate your camera. So suddenly it's not safe for you to even walk from the bathroom to your bedroom without having clothes on, because somebody can be looking at you. And I tell people, put a Band-Aid over that until you're ready to use it. Cover that up. You know, something as simple as this, doing Skyping and stuff. Like, if you've got a camera attached to your computer and somebody's tech savvy, and they don't even have to be all that intelligent tech savvy, because there's apps that do this for them, that do the thinking for them. These are the companies that do that as far as camera software. And the cameras can be anywhere. Your kid just got a new watch from his daddy. Could be in there. Could be in your clock. Could be in a box of detergent or your Pringles box. Your child just got a teddy bear from dad. You could have spyware in the teddy bear. You could have a camera in the teddy bear. It's that insidious. Again, when it comes to gifts from someone who is stalking you, whether it's gifts to you or gifts to the child, every single thing is suspect. You don't want to take away that beloved teddy bear. Go to Walmart and find the exact same teddy bear and buy a new one and throw this one away, so that at least the child still has the teddy bear from daddy, and you know that there's no camera on you. How cameras are used, they keep track of the victims, watch the victims without being seen, obtaining information that they could only get from watching you. This is a screenshot of a woman who I think had a successful prosecution case because the husband had set up cameras in the home while they were still together, and he was stalking her and making sure she was doing and not doing stuff. The equipment is inexpensive and easy to access, and this is the problematic area. We're not talking about thousands of dollars for camera equipment. We're talking about a minimal investment that helps them invade your privacy. Emails, sending anonymous emails, using spyware, they can monitor your email, they can intercept your email. Email anonymizers. Again, if you receive anything from someone that you don't recognize, I kind of think this started with this, group of Romanian people that are trying to, I'm part of the ousted Romanian royal family and I will give you $20,000, but now it's used for stalking purposes. Disappearing emails, like I mentioned, disappearing texts and disappearing emails. And I think victims need to start utilizing electronics as a way to combat what's going on with them. So every time this happens, you take a picture and you document it, and then you print that picture, or you have a separate electronic device that takes those pictures, so that when you make that report, you can show the police officer that these things are happening to you. And then he says, let me see it on your phone. And you say, well, that's why I'm taking pictures, because it won't show up on my phone. I open it, I close it, then it's gone. So you have to help protect yourself in that way. Let's see. Victim safety, let's see. Social networking sites. How many people understand how to privatize your Facebook and other things? I don't, because I've never been stalked, and so I don't bother. But people that are stalked, Facebook and other social networking sites is a very easy way to get information on you. The other thing that can happen is you can block people and make sure that they don't have access to you, but then they can create a Facebook page of your best friend, and then your best friend, and pull pictures off so it looks like a genuine Facebook page, and then they'll friend you, and you're like, I'm already your friend, why are you sending me another friend request? Okay, so then you friend them, and now your stalker has access to everything that's on your Facebook. So little things like that don't make sense, where you're like, oh, okay, you need to start questioning everything. Am I driving you crazy yet? Are you terrified? And this is really horrifying. So, and then the other thing, again, like Sergeant Barbie said, start bringing people in. Start making sure that people around you, your friends, your family, try not to let the feeling of humiliation that occurs by going, oh my God, I'm letting this guy stalk me. Don't let that humiliation overtake you. Start telling those people, because they have to know what you're up against as a way to help defend you. They may not want to be a part of it, going, God, this is just too crazy. I just can't be your friend right now. Okay, that's fine. That's good information to have. Start enlisting other people, and like your employer as well. Employers can issue or they can call the police and have trespass warnings issued. So even though the piece of paper may not be that strong, But at least if they show up, then your employer and your coworkers can call the police and say, there's a trespass warning and this guy is here, we need him arrested because we're afraid for our coworkers' lives. Bringing those people into your system, and they may or may not want to be a part of it, which is their choice. But you're going to have people that want to help defend you. Law enforcement, online requests. Law enforcement can get a lot more information from places like online businesses and phone records and stuff than really all of us can. A lot of stuff requires like a court order and stuff, and so whether it's the investigators with the DA's office or the police officers or whoever does that, they have more power to do that. These are the type of requests that online companies will accept. But again, this is very important for researching what you're dealing with. Have you ever Googled yourself? Start Googling yourself. If you are computer literate, get on Google, put your name in, and see what's out there about you. Because there may be some crap out there about you that's not true, that's reputation defaming that your stalker is putting out there to make sure that he's alienating you from everybody else that you know, so that you will come crawling back to him. And that's what that strategy is for.
I have a question. Sorry.
No, please.
No, I had somebody make a fake profile of me on like a sexual website, and I don't know how to get it taken off.
Okay, there's a couple things on here that maybe will help you.
Okay, because I've emailed the people and everything, or the site, and they still have it on there.
Yeah. This is Rebecca Dreeke. She says she regularly Googles herself to see and understand what's out there about herself. And there are companies that are called data brokers. This one I see a lot, Intellius, People Finder I see, but these are places that pull information with your name, social security number, telephone number, everything that's associated with you, so that for a fee, other people can pay to find information about you. You can do it, which is great for you to know what's out there about you, but they can pay a minimal, we're talking small amount of fees, like $5.95 a month or $50 a year, whatever that is. And suddenly they have your current telephone number, and they know the last 3 places that you've lived, and they know what your credit cards are. Look at the places that they're pulling from. Voter registration databases. That's non-threatening, right? But suddenly people can pull information off there and find out where you live. Let's see, resources. Safe Shepherd, protecting from the internet. I don't exactly know what this does. But that might be interesting to investigate. But I think the victim advocates here and the police department should investigate some of these sites to see how they could potentially help. Support for stalking victims. My Privacy for Domestic Violence Victims is a website that is specifically for cleaning up your reputation. So that's in your paperwork. So look this one up. If you're computer savvy, or even if you're not very computer savvy, look this up and see if this is something that would be helpful to you, because that's what they do. Okay. And what you're talking about is exactly why. Because your reputation is not what you want it to be. If you were a porn star, you'd probably be okay with it. But if you're not, and you don't want people thinking those things about you, then it's worth your time. These are resources for law enforcement, and this is again in the paperwork, so if that's something that might be interesting to you or useful to you somehow. National Institute of Justice, I believe that these are articles that have to do with electronic crimes. Victim service providers, Safe Shepherd, Reputation.com. Survivors in Technology and Interactive Safety Planning Tool. I can't remember what this acronym is for, NNEDD. I think it's in here somewhere, but that might be interesting to look up as well. And Jackie passed out a stalking incident log. This is just something that might be helpful for you. When you have to establish a pattern of behavior, you've got to start documenting all of this. And again, I don't recommend that you put it on your computer or any computer that has internet access where people can actually get into your computer and steal this information. You spend 2 months documenting every crappy thing that's happening to you, and then all of a sudden it's gone and you don't have it. Or you put it in there and you print it. But if people have access to what you're documenting, it could become dangerous for you. Put it in a notebook. But this is something that hopefully would be helpful, describing the incident, where it happened, who was there, what's their address and phone number, were the police called, who was the officer that you talked to, what was his badge number, what's the report number. And one of the things that Sergeant Luis Hernandez, had informed us previously is that when you're setting up a system of behavior, it helps to talk to the same police officer or investigator, because that way that that police officer is now seeing this pattern of behavior. And that's helpful, because if you talk to 20 different police officers, they're not getting the full picture. You got one police officer you're working with, he or she has now the full picture. So that can be very, very helpful. But that establishes the pattern of behavior, and that's what you want. And use those electronics to help you do that. Take pictures and print the pictures out. If your stalker's following you, don't reposition your car and follow him. Get your smartphone, turn on your recorder, and drive to wherever you're driving to. I'm not advocating driving with one hand. but record what's going on and say it out loud. Today is Tuesday, April 9th. This is the 3rd time that he's stalking me this week. He's following me to work, and then record the entire incident so that you can demonstrate that he followed you. He doesn't work anywhere near where you work, but somehow he followed you the entire way. And then save that and keep that. Use electronics to your advantage. It's about time that you do. Okay. Stop a Stalker app. I think this helps with documentation, so you might look into that. Stop a Stalker app. That's actually a good app, maybe. And then this is one of the resources that we use, victimsofcrime.org. You're certainly welcome to look at this stuff on your own, but I think we have some of this information here. So if you're talking to a victim advocate here, hopefully they can continue to give you some information that's going to be helpful for you. Oh, there it is, NNEDB. I still don't know what it means. Where's the National Safety Institute? I don't know what it stands for. But that's another website that you can look up that might be helpful with regards to the information that you're trying to disseminate. But again, Sergeant Barbie and I have said it several times, documentation, keep your logs, dates, times, witnesses. Here's another thing, if you have a habit of going places by yourself, start calling friends. Try to be by yourself as little as possible. Go to the mall, call a friend. You're going out to eat, you're going to go pick it. Sometimes it's not possible, but as much as you can, because the more you have, the more witnesses you have to the crap that's going on with you, the stronger the power of this case is. So, okay, any questions? Does this blow your mind? Did you know this stuff was out here? I had no idea. My hair used to be straight, and after the seminar, it's crazy and it's terrifying. And it scares me to think that there are people out there like this, but they can affect all of us. And I don't want people dying anymore from this. You know, the more that we can utilize to protect ourselves, the better off we're going to be. So I'll be here a little. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's 10 minutes to 8. I apologize, but I'm glad that I was able to give you guys the information. I'm more than happy to be here and answer any questions if you don't want to ask them in front of everybody. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Thank you. It's a privilege to present to you.